Hello and welcome to this week's reminder video for what we did in the class at Sevenoaks and South Norwood. Can't remember what it was called on the diary, but I think it was something like turns, spins and alternate holes, that I said, and that's pretty much what we did. We did a variety of turns and ways of turning that are a little bit different. We did some on-the-spot spins and we did some reverse holds and things that leading into some side steps and promenade walks, and it was very nice. Anyway, it will all become clear as we go on. So we started off with this little turn around a corner. In take one of this video, we just found that it doesn't really work if I start immediately with the broken down slow version. So what we did was we did this. Yeah. So it's using a cross to make a turn. So if we start off here, how we do that, we're turning to the left, so we lead forward with the left foot, but we sort of prepare by turning the left foot outwards, so it's pointing that sort of direction here. I then lead my partner across into the cross, and then I step around and walk forwards. Let me show you from the other side. So you can see the sort of reverse angle, if you like. 1, 2, open, cross, step around, and then we walk out. Very useful little thing we can do in the corners. But we can also make the turn a little bit bigger. And we make the turn bigger by stepping around a little bit further. So here, 1, 2, step, cross, and if instead of stepping here, I step around, I can make the turn bigger. And relatively easily, you can get almost 180 degrees. So if we try once more from this direction, 1, 2, prepare, cross, step around, and then we're ready to go. Prepare, cross, step around. And if we time it right, and we get up, make sure our balance is established, we can join it together without any intervening steps. So 1, 2, open, cross, step around, open, cross, step around, and we've got almost a full turn, which we can then fix on the next couple of steps out. There is a variant of that you can do by going the other way. And this does mess with people's heads. You don't use it a lot, but I do like to try things going in the opposite direction, just so you can see how the balance works. This time, instead of doing the crossing to our left, we're going to cross to our right. Followers, this feels weird. Leaders, okay, it still feels weird. Prepare, cross that way, step, and walk out. So we won't do too much of a big turn this side because it's a little harder to get right. 1, 2, 3, prepare, cross, step around, we can walk out. Prepare, cross, step around, and walk out. So yeah, so you can go the other way. Not used a lot because if you think about a dance, a milonga dance, ronda, we call it, the way people dance around the floor is usually anti-clockwise. So turns to the left are more useful than turns to the right. But, you would use it occasionally. Then we moved on to some sort of spot turns, if you like. Now, this is where if you dance salsa or ballroom or whatever, the techniques can kind of interfere and make a bit of a mess. If you think about a sort of salsa turn, I mean, I don't do salsa particularly, but it's very much led by the hand, that the frame stays in place and you turn and the follower follows the hand. This is tango, so everything is led from the chest. So when we start one of these things, we prepare by starting to turn exactly as we would for an ocho or any kind of on-the-spot pivot, and then continue that through to there. So the lead is from the chest and then carried on from the arm. Followers, make sure that the elbow stays low, otherwise you end up pinging your partner on the nose, which does not end well. Yes, so keep the elbow low and sort of organically let it fold in, if you like, as you're going round. So sort of you start the turn and everything just sort of comes in a little bit. Leaders, keep the hand high enough so that you're above their head, but not so high that you make them dangle. Yeah, because it's a fine line. If you go too high, it's very uncomfortable to dance. So how do we get into one of these things? Oh, and the other safety tip is change to that handhold. So from the normal handhold here, open to there. Now this, followers, you should interpret that as a spin might be about to happen at some point, not the next move will be a spin, because quite often I see, we're dancing, I get the prep, and the follower goes, you know what, I'm going to spin now, and it's like, whoa, what was that? So it's still a lead, follow, invitation, response dance. Prepare the hold, but that doesn't mean it will happen, and it certainly doesn't mean it will happen the next move. So I prepare the hold, lead her forwards onto her left foot, start the turn from my chest, pivot around, and we come out. Followers, the more corkscrew dissociation you can get into this, the better. So the body turns and the hips follow. If you try and do everything very stiff, it's hard work and usually ends up balance wobbling. So that's an inside turn because the hand goes between us to start with. There's an outside turn variation of this. So instead of going on the forward ocho to this side, we go to the forward ocho to this side, and she will be pivoting the other way, pivot, and we end up there. And so again, the same principle applies. Keep the arm in to avoid, or the elbow in to avoid hitting your leader in the nose, and maintain your own balance, and nice bit of corkscrewing. A sort of good rule of thumb with these is, unless you feel a lead or any sort of breaking to the contrary, you kind of want to come out of them facing in the same direction that it started. So if we go for the first one, because it's a little easier to do slowly. Here, she's facing that way. By the time you go into it, you're there. So the corkscrew will come out there. The next one, the turn is the pivot coming from the chest, yeah? And then this is where the spin starts. You will go around. This is really hard slow motion like this. Well done. You come out of it facing in the same direction. So if you feel you're coming out of it a bit early, or you're at risk of overturning, that's your sort of target as to where you're going to aim. So with those spins, as I said, try and make a full turn unless you feel some form of braking or stop or whatever. But leaders, we can use that. So we'll move back here because we're going to move forwards for this. So we'll use the first one here. Forwards, spin, and as we go around, we let go and break. Now, followers, connect in this hold. So if we can move forward so you can see what's going on here. There we go. So connect in this hold. So my hand has gone onto your hip. My left hand is sort of presented in front. We connect like that. Don't go for the sort of crossed arms hold, so there and there. So don't end up there. That's much more a sort of salsa, bachata kind of thing. You want to end up back in this sort of hold, yes? So again, just to show that happening. Forward, forward, turn here, I let go and catch. And you'll feel that's a very clear breaking point. Now, at this point, you should be on your left foot because you started on your left foot at this stage. So we can now, from here, walk, walk, walk. Now, because we're in this sort of, you want to come here for a sec. So you're on your, you're still on your right leg. So because we're in this sort of pattern, so we're alternate feet. This is a sort of Americano. No, it's not named after a coffee. This is an Americano walk. You can also do the promenade walk, which is so we're on matched legs. So 1, 2, 3. Useful to know the difference because slightly different things happen. So the first one we'll do is this. Here, turn, grab into alternate hold, and we're going to walk forward. We can do it on Americano or promenade. We'll go 1, 2, 3, and then as we lead her forward on her left foot, we will then send her round, sidestep, we change weight, and we can walk out. We probably need to do that further away because I don't think you saw any feet there. So can we start a bit further this side because you keep ending up over there. So 1, 2, here, pivot, catch. So we're here. We're then going to walk forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there. So on that step, when she's going forward with her left foot, we send her forward and then start the frame turning. So, sorry, can we reset that? That's it. So as we lead her forward, our chest turns very slightly and creates that pivot. She'll turn around to face and we'll re-establish something more like a hold, but we're slightly wonky. So we carry on leading until she's in front and then we can just walk out of it. Yeah? So that's one useful thing that we can do with that hold. It's a nice little pivot turn. We can also do this, this sort of, that works, yeah. We can also do this sort of cicada walk thing. So if we're going in promenade, instead of just plonk, plonk, we can go around, cicada her, around, 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 and then lead out in the same way. Forward, pivot, side, and then we can go. So, so nice little variations. I think you saw enough on the screen to be able to know what's going on. Good ways of using that reverse hold. So there was one other thing that we did, and we just sort of kind of rushed through it in the last 10 minutes of the class, I think. So it's some people call it a single axis turn. I call it a shared axis turn. Some people call it implausible. But the point is that we're pivoting on one person's axis. So we're sharing an axis. So a normal turn, if you think about it, if we're both moving, if we're both moving around a spot for whatever reason, the axis that we're pivoting about is in between us. So we want to try and make it so that one of the axes is one of our axes, my leader or follower's axis, is the one that we are moving around. Now, we start this with a very slight colgada lean back. So to lean back into a colgada, you very slightly give an upward lift and step forward, and your partner leans back. This would be a lot easier to show what's going on if we were facing this way. So sideways block here. I'm now going to lift and there. And you can see Natalie her spine is vertical. She's leaning back. If I were to let go, she'd tell me off because she'd be on the floor. And so she's behind the axis point, which means I can stand on the same spot, which means we can now pivot around that axis point. I then bring her back onto axis, and then we can walk out. Yeah? So these are, this is the fundamental way that thing comes together. The version we did comes from a sidestep. Now, I'll break it down first so you can see what's happening. We lead a side step and block. I'm currently on my right leg, so I'm over here. My left leg is straight. As I step towards her, I keep my left leg straight, which means that my body slightly goes up. That creates the lift. Now, if at the same time I very slightly pivot her and then connect, we've gone into that same position that we had just now. So probably that angle is a good place to start. So lead, block, and step forward, and we're naturally in that off-axis position. So then I can just carry on turning around, step back, and we can either lead forwards out of it or we can lead backwards out of it. However, once you've got your partner back onto axis, then you're just back into normal dance mode. So here, start off, side step, step around, go out. Followers, keep your spine vertical. You're leaning back onto the leader's right hand. So that's what's taking your weight. You have a plan B. If we can just do the sort of static one here. This hand is kind of your safety, this arm is kind of your safety chain, followers. So from here, I lead back. She's relying on my hand, but this is ready to catch if necessary. So from here, there, yeah? Now what you want to avoid doing is keeping so much tension on that one as the safety chain that I can't then lead you back. Yeah, you need to actually be able to relax into it. It takes a little bit of practice getting used to it and dancing with a particular leader to make sure that you can trust the leader to be there. Old leaders, yeah, when you're doing this, make sure that as you lead, you don't lead by doing that and going forwards, because trust me, if you're both leaning in the same direction, well, you're going to end up down there. So make sure that you stay upright, or if anything, very slightly lean back into it. So when we're doing this pivot turn, if we were more equal mass, shall we say, you would see that we're both leaning backwards very slightly. I somewhat outweigh Natalie, so I'm largely upright. So when I lean her back, I can just kind of stay here. But if we were a bit more like that, yep. So that was it. So we've done a variety of turns. We've done some spot turns. We've done some corner turns. We've done some alternate holds, and we've done this shared axis, single axis, colgada turn. Yes, it really is a colgada. Don't let any other tango teachers tell you otherwise. There seems to be a bit of a denial. It took us ages to get it right because every tango teacher we had said, "No, it's not a colgada. You just step into this, and you're just there." How? There's a partner in the way. But yes, it is a colgada. She leans back very slightly. You lean back very slightly. So you're sharing an axis point at the base, but you're slightly apart at the top. So yeah, top tips.